My name is Susanna Magenheimer, also known as Random Artist 222. I got a lot of great feedback on my sea glass post that I did on Instagram, so I decided to do a short demo. Ever since I saw Seth Apter demoing his embossing powders, the Mediterranean kit, my mind went crazy with wanting to do sea glass. It popped into my brain and has never left. I'm using his Mediterranean kit, which is 3 colors as you see here. There's Dusk, Aegean Sea, Lime, and they are translucent embossing powders. Embossing powders are ground up plastics basically, so that they can melt very quickly. As you can see here, it is a very refined powder. And if you get it on your fingers like this, wipe it off right away. That is plastic. You don't want to inhale it. You don't want to ingest it. And as my public service announcement, always melt your powders in a well-ventilated area, and don't linger when you're melting something. Don't just hold it on to the area you want to melt. Come back with it forward, back and forward, and try not to inhale. Embossing powders are wonderful, and they come in a variety of opaque, translucent, some are blends that have mica powders in them. But in order to create the sea glass, I use these 3 Mediterranean colors from the kit. And I did this on several types of deli paper first, and plastics and vellum to see which one I preferred. And as you can see, the deli paper worked out best for me because it's translucent. It gave me the best translucent look. And let me show you this really quick. This is a little demo I did of each of the types. So this was the plastic, which is a hard, I'll show you in a second, a hard graphics plastic. I don't recommend really burning on plastic, but it did work. There's also deli paper, and as you can see the word seek here very easily. I tried another heavy deli paper. It was good, but not as good as the just your standard deli paper. This was just me experimenting with deli paper using clear embossing powder to see if I can get even a clearer effect. And this was vellum, and as you can see, it was very hard. Well, not super hard, but hard enough that it wasn't the effect that I was going for, but it might be something that's suitable to you. So let's get on with it. There are the 3 types of paper I talked to you about, and I'll show you really quickly. There's deli paper, which is your standard deli paper. There is the graphics plastic, and I think it's an 8-count plastic. It's very thick, so it can handle a little bit of burning on it, but again, you don't really want to be burning plastic. And then there's vellum, and as you can see, it's super opaque, and that's why I didn't like it for my project. It was a harder surface to see through, but it also works very well. So again, it's basically what you're after. Now, if you're working with the graphics plastic, make sure you know, because it took me a while to figure it out, that you've got to peel these blue plastic protectant sheets off of it before you can use it, and they're on both sides. So just save yourself some time doing that. When I cut my stones, as I've done here, and this one's using the lime and this one's using the Aegean Sea, I actually just hand cut my own stones. You just want to make sure that they're rounded, really no sharp jagged edges. And I like what I call the 3-point stones. So there's a point here, and obviously a point here. But you know, be creative. Any stone will work. If you're not comfortable cutting your own things, Elizabeth Crafts Designs creates this amazing die. I don't know if it's still in production. Bought it years ago, and it gives that sea glass vibe. There's one last technique that I'm not going to demo today because it's not my favorite, but it's a way for people who aren't comfortable also cutting, is use a stencil. As you can see here, there's stones on here. So you want to stencil onto the surface that I'm going to show you right now to prepare for it, but you'll have to manually obviously cut these, outline them, and cut them so before you emboss them. So that's another way you can do this. So let's get to it. I use Sookwang double-sided adhesive tape. Let me turn that for you. It's double-sided, so it works perfectly because what I can do is it has a release sheet. See, so that releases back, and that's got the sticky, the first part of the sticky. So you're going to stick your paper onto here, and that's what you're going to cut. And that's what I cut these little stones out of first, but I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So I don't think I need to show you, but this is the release paper, so I would have peeled that back. I then stuck the papers that I wanted to cut onto this double-sided sticky paper. This is the plastic. This is the vellum, so you can see you can cut out very easily this. So I'm going to now cut out my stone out of the deli paper. And again, like I said, I like a 3-point stone. And I'm not sitting here trying to be magical about it. I just, oops. Just want to make sure they're rounded and everything. So that's okay. That makes a good stone. So on the back now, you've got the last of the release paper. And that'll come off when you're done embossing this thing. So the next thing you want to do is, this is how I do my embossing. Whoops. Is I like to put it on some paper towel when I use my Versamark embossing ink. This is what will stick your embossing powder onto your surface. So you want to make sure you get that all in there. You want to stamp on it so that you make sure, and I'm looking at the light coming in here so I can see that it's inked up. Put that to the side. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to close these up because I do not want this embossing powder going everywhere. And that's what happens when you do this so many times, you learn. I don't want to blow this all off. So let me cap this because I don't want that to dry out. And what I'm going to do is just gently go like that. And you'll see now I have a layer of the powder. I'm going to use a Q-tip to take, because it's staticky a little bit on the back. I'm just going to take that off because I really don't want to heat that up. It'll just make peeling this off harder. You could use your fingers, but again, you have to be really cognizant of taking it off your fingers because you don't want that in your eye. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this, so hopefully that won't blow off. Thinking out loud here, maybe do that and that. So I'm going to heat this up, and I'm showing you how I'm heating it up because I usually do this off camera, but I want the gun far away at the beginning, and this is going to make some sound for a few minutes. I count to 10 so I know it's heated up, and then I'm going to slowly bring it to the surface because if I do it right away, some of those powders are going to blow off. And it's okay to have a few, but if you don't want them all to blow off right away, you want a slow melt coming into it. And you don't want to hover right onto it and just burn the heck out of it because not only will you destroy the surface you're working on, but you're going to create smells that you don't want to be smelling. So here we go. You can see it's starting to melt. And there you have your first layer. Now that's a really nice layer. You could go with that, but I like to do something different because that's me. What I like to do is I'm going to open this up. Now, I'm going to heat this up just the way I showed you, but away from all this because it'll blow if I don't. So I'm going to reheat it. And then very quickly I'm going to come back here and tap down on that and tap down into the powder and take off the excess. And I'm going to now blow it again. This is the second layer. There it goes. Okay. So now it looks like that, and as you're getting that sea glass effect. Again, if you're good with this, then run with it. If you want another layer, then go ahead. The problem with doing more layers, and by the way, I like using these tweezers because they're silicone based, or I forget what, the Teflon based. So I can just take that melted wax right off and they're good as new. This one, for example, I did 4 times, just what you saw. But now I'm able to get cracks in it. And that's an effect I want, because I want to get that effect of, you know, the charred or the broken glass within the actual stone. So that's how you melt them. And I'm going to show you really quickly now what to do with them. So now I'm going to show you just the basics of how I did this card. I'm not going to recreate it in its entirety. But what I did was what I call the stamp and drag, which I'll show you. But basically you stamp and you drag it to get that nice dimensional effect. And also I wanted to show you there's some other stones here. I don't know if you can see that up close. Okay, that's also Seth Apter's new Blizzard color embossing powder. It's obviously an opaque, and when you burn it down, it just reminds me of granite. So it totally struck to me as a stone I wanted to use on this card. There's also these other stones, and basically those are 2 sea glass stones I made myself. They are opaque, but I like the effect of taking a clear embossing powder and mixing it into an opaque powder to getting this kind of really cool, I don't know if you can see that. Let me see here if I can show you this. It's got kind of a pebbly effect or a grainy effect, and it's all about playing. So, you know, don't feel like you can't mix things up if you want something a little bit different. So let's get to it. I always use archival ink. I like it because it's permanent when dry and it's friendly. And basically to do the stamp and drag, I put down basically where I want, like here. I want to have my hand under here, and I want to make sure that I've got some pressure in the middle because I want the top to show. And then basically I'm going to drag it down. And ta-da! That's a cool effect. And then you can go back and white ink it, put some gel pen in like I did here. I added some white gel pen. I added some for highlights. But basically, this is a Seth Apter stamp. And hold on one second. Since I dragged it into the oblivion, which is what I wanted to do, let's show you what the stamp is. It's a really gorgeous stamp. I just love it. It's got so much potential. You can just use part of it, all of it. It's really cool. So anyway, in the end of all this, I'm going to put in one more. I think I'm going to do one more. This is also Seth Apter stamp. I love his stamps. They're very organic and fun to use. Again, I'm going to put this down, hold it on the top because I want that impression to show the most, and then drag it down. And the amount of pressure you put is the amount of design that you're going to keep or not keep. So now that I have that, I would give that normally a minute to dry. But again, you're going to take this last piece of release paper off, and you're going to just put it wherever you want. And that was the plastic, and as you can see, it's not as see-through, translucent. This is the deli paper. A little patience with me. Okay. This one's super thin. I'm going to put it over at this part because I want you to see how that just pops. See? Now you can see what's underneath it and get that sea glass vibe. But I also like this one because there is a translucency in it, and then I was a little heavy-handed or here with it. And then finally, oops. Just takes a little bit. I might have. There we go. Just a little patience. This one's cracked, so you want to be careful with it. But I think I'm just going to put that one over here. And now can you see that crack in that? Those crackles? Yeah, now you're seeing it. Which is a really cool effect because it looks like shards are within the stone. So that's basically how I did it. And I hope you enjoy it. And if you do a project with it, please tag me, randomartist222, all one word, on Instagram. Would love to see what you're doing with it. Thanks again to Seth Apter for creating this amazing set through Emerald Creek Company. And have a great day.